What's up, guys? Welcome back to Young, Hot, and Divorced. I'm Tori, and today I am joined by my good friend, Nicole. I just want to give a little intro into who Nicole is. Nicole has been in my life for a couple of years now, and it's so nice to be able to watch her journey through Instagram, even though we're not super close physically anymore. So, Nicole and I met at this super pivotal moment for both of us. Yeah, so I was just kind of wrapping up my children's boutique journey, and she was just starting hers. And I feel like that was just super serendipitous and meant to be. And now I'm watching her chase this dream that we both shared. And honestly, it's so fulfilling to be able to see you grow
Aw.
and all of the success that you've had. It's like watching my own dream come true. So, Nicole, I just wanted to welcome you to Young, Hot, and Divorced. Obviously, you're a single mom too. You're divorced. So, why don't you give a little background on your own situation?
Yeah. So, hi, Tori. I've missed you.
I missed you.
Tori and I met and connected and bonded over being single moms and being divorced. I did not have two divorces before 30. I hung on a lot. I hung on a long time, way, way longer than I should have. And yeah, we met while I was opening my children's boutique in Miami. And I've since closed my first location and opened my second location. I was a stay-at-home mom while I was married for 6 years, and I did not work during that time. My son's dad was traveling full-time. We were moving every 6 months, and so having a career wasn't really an option, which I don't regret. I loved spending those years with my son, but when you decide to get divorced when you're 34, pushing 35, and you have no career, and your partner has grown their career exponentially as a result of your support, it's frightening. Yeah, it's frightening.
You're just like totally starting from scratch and all on your own with, a totally different level of support. So, how did this idea of a children's boutique come to you?
So I was a teacher before I stopped working. I was a special education teacher. I have a master's degree in special education. I had opened schools, coached teachers. I worked as an assistant professor. I was going places, as they say, maybe not financially, but in terms of, respect in the field that I was in, I felt like I was
Hmm.
going places. And after I got divorced, I tried working for other female entrepreneurs. I tried working in events. I tried running a flower shop, and it just felt like I kept running into a dead end. And I felt like if you haven't been a single mom or been raised by a single mom, you don't understand the pressure and the amount of responsibility that you have if you don't have an involved co-parent.
For sure.
And my custody agreement is 85-15. So I have my son 85% of the time, and my son's dad has him 15% of the time. So those first few years after I got divorced, I found that most people I worked for just didn't get it. They didn't get
For
it.
sure. Just a job that accommodates your schedule as a single mom is honestly impossible, especially if you don't have help from family with childcare.
Mhm.
I don't know if you had family nearby, but when I was in Miami, I was totally on my own.
Yeah. Well, that's a great segue, Tori.
Mm.
So about 5 months before I initiated not initiated, but left my son's dad, my dad actually passed away. So
I'm
my
sorry.
dad it's okay. These things, life ends for everybody at some point. My dad had a terminal brain disease. And so I had been caring for him for those 2 years. Prior to his death, we had moved back to Chicago, and I was driving back and forth to Michigan. I'm a Midwesterner, to take care of my dad on the weekends and then take care of my son on the weekdays. And all while my son's dad was traveling for work. So after he passed away, I just realized life is too short. I don't have a relationship with my mom. So I felt like I was basically orphaned. And I moved back to Miami because my biggest support system was here. The most amount of friends that I had, that I felt like, if I can't get there in time to pick up my kid from school, like they'll pick up the pieces. No family, just a handful of really good friends who have supported me since
I definitely had the same. I think we have a lot of the same mutual
We
friends,
do.
and I think that we were both really lucky in that sense that we had some really good friends who were absolutely willing to pull through for us in
Yeah.
any moment. And I know you and I would do the same for each other too. It was like if you needed me to pick up
Hmm.
the kids from school or vice
Yeah.
versa, it was absolutely a no-brainer. So that was a really nice like sense of community. Now, something you use in your hashtags that I love is childhood curated, which
Uh,
says a lot about your boutique. And I just want you to give everybody, like in your own words, what the vibe is.
the vibe. Oh, that's a great question. Actually, you know what's so funny is I've received 2 compliments this week that have been like, when someone says something to you and you're like, oh, that's what I was going for. Yesterday, somebody told me Miami is plastic, but Minnie is real. And when you walk in here, you feel a sense of, I mean, it's all European toys and clothes, and it's very Scandi chic, but you feel a sense of realness and like a sense of home. Our new location is in a house, and I feel like it really feels that way. It feels like home. Another person told me, I don't feel like Miami when I'm in here, which is also a huge compliment. Yeah, it's a good thing. It's like we have enough, we have enough
Mhm.
plastic and yeah, I mean, you've lived here. We don't
Yes,
need
it's
any more of that.
exactly. And I feel like your boutique is just like down to basics. The colors aren't like overwhelming. It's not glitter, sparkle, unicorns. I mean, if there are
Okay,
unicorns there, wait, have you
so
changed?
I have learned so much because I so if I had continued down the path that I was before I had my son, I would have been a sad beige mom. And I know everyone's
Mm-hmm.
seen those TikToks. I would have been a sad beige mom. But the second I had my son, I was like, this world of color opened up to me. His room was all like primary colors. I dressed him bright every day. I was like, this child deserves color. I've definitely changed kind of like we're not about replacing things. We're about sustainability and things that last and that multiple children in your family can play with. So it's not about more, 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 which I think is the part of Miami that doesn't exist. It's not about excess.
There are two things that I definitely want to ask you about, and it's your ex and your current situation. So let's start
Okay.
with the ex. Let's get the like negative vibes out of the way, and we'll absolutely get on a good note for the end
Yeah.
because I don't like to, end anything on a bad note. So tell me a little bit about how your relationship started and how it ended.
Yeah. So I met my son's dad, and that's a conscious choice to call him my son's dad. I feel like it's a more positive way to refer to him. I met my son's dad in college. I had just gotten out of a physically abusive relationship with someone else. I met him, and his energy was very calm and almost like detached in a way that I hadn't experienced before because I was in a really high conflict relationship prior to that. And we dated on and off basically until I finished 2 years living in DC by myself away from him. We did long distance. And then I moved to Chicago. We got engaged. We moved to Miami. We got married here. And then the crazy moving started after that. My best friend, maybe not recently, but like 6 months ago, she said to me, I remember before you got married saying you weren't sure if this was the right choice.
Mm.
And I'll also never forget calling one of my coworkers when I was living in Chicago after I got divorced, just sobbing about something he had done and her saying to me, it's not supposed to be like this. But I think, our relationships replay our own childhood trauma, as
Mm-hmm.
most of us have probably seen on TikTok and Instagram. I didn't have that when I was 20 years old. Like we didn't have Instagram. We didn't have TikTok to teach us about narcissism and physical abuse and emotional abuse. We didn't have that.
Or have the names and the verbiage for these
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, I always say I pegged people in my life as narcissists before it was trendy.
You're like, these people were in my life before it became cool, okay?
Yeah, before it was cool to call someone that. And I think, I ride for people. I'm extremely loyal. You see with my boutique, I'm an extremely hardworking person and I
Absolutely.
care a lot about what I commit to. And I was really committed to my family. My parents got divorced when I was in kindergarten. Like I didn't have that family. But what I realized when my dad passed away was I still didn't have that family. I still
Mhm.
didn't have family that just because we shared finances and lived in the same house a few days a week and shared a child biologically, that wasn't the family that I wanted. So
Was there any,
obviously,
like, big moment where you knew, "I'm ready to get divorced"?
actually, when my son was 2, we had a therapist tell us that we should get divorced.
Oh, wow.
So he was 5 when we got divorced. So I knew for a long time that the relationship wasn't healthy and that he wasn't, a supportive partner. But I think when you're in a relationship like that, it's really difficult to get out. And it's also really difficult to decide what is best for your children, especially as they're getting older. I know you got divorced when your kids were younger.
I feel like people ask me that often. I don't know if they
Yeah.
ask you, like, was there a moment? I think people are often waiting, to see if it gets
Yeah.
bad enough. I have moments, and I'm sure you do too, that definitely contributed to that point, but
Yeah.
there's not like one defining
I'll say
moment, at least for
I'll
me.
say what it is. I'll say what it
Sure.
is. I was going to therapy at the time after my dad's death because I was extremely depressed and my anxiety, like my physical anxiety was off the charts. Anytime I got into the car, I would panic because I used to drive back and forth to my dad's house
Oh,
to take
wow.
care of him. So I developed severe physical anxiety anytime I got in the car. And I remember, these things were happening to me with my son's dad and they were affecting me. And after going to therapy, I realized my son also started therapy. And my son's dad didn't want to attend the family therapy.
I feel like that's
And
common.
he said if it wasn't going to help him, my son's dad, then why would he attend? And I thought to myself, this has affected me for long enough. Now it's affecting my child. And him not being supportive of me when I needed it, I felt like, okay, I can handle this. But when it started to spill over to our son, which it was already spilling over to our son, but I had like a direct correlation. I had to explain to my child why his dad wouldn't come to family therapy. That's when I think I was like, that's it. That's it.
Yeah, I see
That's it.
that. That's a
Yeah.
very common thing too, is like as soon as you mess with me all you want, but you mess
Mm,
with my kids and like
yeah.
I feel like a
Yeah.
lot of
That's it.
moms are like mama bears, exactly.
Yeah.
So what was your
Yeah.
dating life like post divorce? We share that
I,
experience as well.
like after my dad passed away, I couldn't eat for 6 months, like truly could not eat. I lost like all this weight that I've been carrying since my son was born. I was like, yeah. And then I realized when I got here, like people don't want to date a single mom. And I know I know people are going to
Not
say like,
seriously.
not seriously. Yeah. And
Everyone's down for the MILF energy, but
yeah.
like there's no commitment like around here. He's like
Yeah. And I went through a period where I was struggling with that. Like, obviously I'd completely lost my identity in my marriage. And then I came out of my divorce and I was like, oh, I'm a mom, but I'm also a single woman. And like, what does this mean for me? And how do people perceive me in the world? And I think that until I met my current partner, I hadn't really met anybody who valued the experience, who had single moms or who were single dads themselves, but no one who really understood to the extent that I had experienced, like what my needs were and why. And so when I say to my current partner, like, you know what, right now my priority is my son and my business. And my business is my priority because of my son.
Mhm.
So, as much as I want you to be part of my life, these are the things that are most important to me. And he got it. So he has a son, but his son lives in a different country. And he also was raised by a single mom with a sister. And he just has the life experience to understand the difficulties surrounding being a single mom and also the strength that it brings being a single parent. It takes a tremendous amount of strength to do what we
It
both did.
does. It does. How did you guys meet?
We are a Hinge success story.
Ooh, I'm one of those right now too.
I had all but given up on dating. And my son's nanny was at my house after work, and I had scheduled this date with this French guy. And he said to my son, like, oh, I don't really want to go. I'm tired. I had already like sort of half canceled the date. And at the time, my son was really into YouTube and he was wanting to watch YouTube with his nanny. And so he was like, Mom, I really think you should go.
Oh, that's so funny.
And obviously my nanny wanted to stay 'cause she was going to get paid extra time to hang out with my
Yeah.
son and watch YouTube. So they were like, you should definitely go on this date. Like, just go. If you're not having fun, you can come back in an hour. And I remember when he walked into the restaurant, I was like, this guy is here for a date with me.
What restaurant was it, just out of curiosity?
It was Stubborn Seed in South of Fifth.
Cool,
Yeah.
cool.
We dated for a while and then we broke up and then we got
How
back
long have
together.
you guys been together? And how long was that breakup?
Coming on like maybe 2 years.
Okay.
But we broke up for a summer. Felt like I was still like dealing with a lot of the grief of my dad's death. And he was also, his grandmother had just passed away. I had to move out of my apartment. I had mold. I couldn't find a new apartment. I had to move all my stuff into storage. And I just felt like I need to be alone and not have anybody around me asking me for anything or wanting any emotional support right now, which sounds really harsh now, like looking back at what he was going through. I was also going through a lot of things. I think that I just needed time to be alone. Literally just alone. When we got back together, I realized how deeply caring and supportive and just how good of a stepdad he is, and how I would be really missing out at not having him in my life. I feel really grateful for him, and my son is also very grateful for him. So,
That's so
yeah.
important, like that relationship between your child and your partner and navigating that co-parenting dynamic. Has your ex met your boyfriend?
He has, yeah. My boyfriend helps me a lot with pickups, especially on Fridays. So he has dropped him off at his house many times and they've met. They're not buddies, but they've met. Yeah.
Is there any animosity, any issues, like, or is it just like meh?
They don't have any issues. Does my boyfriend have thoughts and feelings on
On him and
my
how he's treated you?
Yeah,
And of course.
of course, because he's protective of me. They don't speak. I hope that my son's dad is grateful that I found someone who is so dedicated to our child and is such a good
Yeah.
example.
It's like the more people who love him, the better.
Yes. And I think I've seen a huge difference in my son as well. Like every time I come home from work, he comes and takes my bag and is, oh, Mom, come in. Welcome home.
My whole heart. There's something about being a boy mom too that
Yeah.
just like hits.
And that's something that my partner does anytime I come home. It's like he rushes to me and takes my bag. And I was realizing actually the other day, like every morning he wakes up way earlier than me and he will come in the room and wake me up softly and bring me coffee. And my dad used to do that for my stepmom. And so it feels like, I always say like doesn't feel like my dad, but he has the same qualities that I really loved about my dad, like the really soft
soul,
energy.
a similar spirit that's, that you feel, that's super comforting.
Yeah.
Do you see yourself getting married again?
That's a great question. Do you see yourself getting married again?
This is an interview on you, okay? I'll tell you, when I got divorced the second time, I was like, I really don't feel like I need to do this again. And I was fine with, I didn't want to die alone, but I didn't think that I needed marriage. But I have a different take on that now. So where are you at?
I think that I consider my boyfriend to be my partner, to be my partner in life. I don't think I've ever felt partnership this way. Do I necessarily want to have a wedding and get married and do all of that? No, not really. Over the summer, he did give me an engagement ring.
Why don't I know? You just dropped a bomb. Like, 1, show us the ring. 2, how was the proposal? 3, what did he propose if it wasn't marriage? Like, wait, I have all these questions.
So to be honest,
did you see it coming?
Yeah, we designed the ring together. I knew it was coming. My friend designed it. Yeah. So yeah.
Tell me everything.
No, I mean, we were planning to move in together in July, and I really wanted there to be something symbolic for my son, like a commitment of some sort. And my boyfriend is also very romantic and
well, he's your fiance, no?
He's actually never been married. So he also, for him, it's like he's never done it. And also his family has never seen him get married or get engaged. So there's also something sentimental about that.
Show us the ring. I want to know about the creation
I don't
of
have it right here. Yeah. So this is my ring.
Okay, fucking Princess Diana. Stunning. Talk to us.
We wanted something that looked like antique, kind of like
Mm-hmm.
neither of us have any heirloom pieces of jewelry in our family. And I really I remember listening to you talk about keeping your engagement rings and like why
Mm-hmm.
you felt like that was okay. I sold my engagement ring to open my first store. So
I
that
sold
was,
one, so I get
yeah,
that.
I was symbolic for me. I was like, I'm starting fresh. This is for my business. I didn't get much for it. Let's be honest. But I used it as a deposit for my first store space. And so I didn't want to sell it up until that point. I actually still have my wedding band because I feel like for my son, I want him
Have the same.
to have something like to symbolize
Yes.
this. Like, obviously, at some point we
It's
had
where
a
he came
baby.
from.
So, yeah.
Exactly.
But we both wanted something that was kind of vintage and like an heirloom piece that eventually one of our sons
Oh, okay,
could
his
pass
other one. I
on.
was like, you were about
Yeah.
to drop another
No,
bomb. And
no,
how
no,
old is his
no.
son?
His son is 11.
Okay, so
Yeah.
he's kind of in the same,
Right.
parenting a similar age with both of
Yeah.
them.
Because he lives really far away, they haven't met yet, but hopefully maybe in the spring. Um,
How often does he
so
see his own son, and does that make you feel any sort of way?
so his custody situation is a little bit more complex and private than mine, but I will say that he is a really, really wonderful dad to his son, and he does everything he can to be with him and to support him. And I admire him for that because, when you meet a dad as a single mom whose son doesn't live in the same country and, you have a lot of questions about like what does that look like? Because if you don't have a very involved partner, you're a little like standoffish to someone who also,
Especially with you, who had an ex who was traveling all of the time,
yeah,
you get that the dad wasn't around sort of thing.
yeah. And so I feel like we have, I don't know, come to Jesus on that. And like, I feel like I really understand how this situation came to be. And
Mhm.
I believe like deep in my heart that does everything that he can.
I trust your judgment on this.
Yeah.
That's definitely a red flag when I was dating single
Hmm.
dads. The first thing I ask is like, how often do you see your
Yeah.
child?
What's your
Because
custody
you know,
arrangement?
right, because you know that your ex doesn't see him so much,
Yeah.
and I know that my ex doesn't see him so much. And that
Right.
says a lot about our exes.
Right.
So you don't want to, get one of those again.
Exactly. I saw how he was with my son, and I felt like this person to take on the responsibility of being a stepdad pretty early, with my son, I feel like cannot have it in him to be a bad dad to his own child. We just try try not to trauma bond, but I think it's more I think
Is
it's
that
more
a
like
thing? This sounds like a TikTok term that I
you don't
don't
know
know
about
about
trauma
yet.
bonding?
No.
Okay, well,
What is trauma bonding?
now it will be in your algorithm.
Oh, no. Yeah, that's right. Like, my phone is right here. Like, okay.
What
Okay,
is
tell me about it.
what is trauma bonding? Trauma bonding is when you form a deep connection with someone because of your trauma. I guess it's like the best way to put it.
I could see that
And
being unhealthy if
it
you
can,
have a connection on your trauma type of
yeah. So
thing.
in the beginning of when I was first single, I dated another single dad who was going through like a pretty contentious custody situation. And so I felt a lot of what we related on was just our custody situations and, our divorces and all of that. And so that is an example of what I would call trauma bonding, was like only talking about that.
Currently, how is your relationship with your ex? Are you dealing with any legal drama? Are things like case closed for you? Where do you stand?
Up until about a month ago, I thought things were case closed, but we will be revisiting that by his request. So, stay tuned. Donate to my
I
GoFundMe
That's where
for
I'm
my
going
legal
with this.
defense.
Do you feel like your ex financially supports as much as not only he should, but he could?
Up until this point, I feel like, to be honest, yes. I think that we figured out a deal in the beginning that I felt like was fair given what I had experienced and what my son had experienced and what our next steps were as a family. He no longer feels that way, so we will revisit that.
So, like, you're feeling tension between this. I think there's almost no way not to when you get
Yeah.
the lawyers involved. It's like it meant it moved past a discussion. And now you're
Well, there
spending
never was a
money.
discussion, so
Oh, you got blindsided.
yes, I was served at work.
Yeah, I've been served with my children in, like, my arms.
Yeah.
Like, I was just like, "This is" it's a horrible, like, super aggressive, you're just like.
Yeah. I had never been served. We did everything outside of court the first time and in mediation, and it was really difficult for it to happen at my work. I've put every single penny I have into this business, and so it just kind of felt like a dagger to the heart. He feels like this relationship is a business transaction between him and I, and not a co-parenting relationship, and so it's challenging for me when I'm already going through a lot of financial stress with the business, as well as we have to move out of our house because of a mold issue. It's the holidays, it's the busiest time of the year in retail. I definitely like feeling the stress of it
And
all.
I don't think most people know how expensive lawyers are. It's not affordable or sustainable for an
No.
average person. And not only that, anytime you go through this, you're taking funds and resources away from your child. And
Yeah.
on both sides, that's what
Yeah.
that money is for. And it hurts the whole situation. And
Yeah.
like I said, I'm not doing anything legally right now for the fact that I cannot afford to fight.
Yeah. I
I'm kind of
totally
hoping
get
for the
you.
best, you know? You moved in together this summer, you got engaged, and what does getting engaged if you're not really sure about marriage mean to you?
I think it's just a commitment. I think we're both committed to working together to make this work. There's some days where I'm like, "Oh, I wanna marry you." Like, "Oh, I wanna get this." I have a dress and shoes, but then there's other days where I'm like, "I don't know if I need that."
I understand.
Obviously,
And
he's
how
on
does
a
he
vi
feel? I didn't know
well,
he's on a visa, but also, like, how does he feel about marriage? And is this visa relevant? Let's talk.
yeah, I mean, I think we will do what it takes to stay together, if you know what I mean, to stay in there, like, long term. I feel like we both don't feel the need to do that. It's not a priority right now, like, it would be great to plan a wedding and, like, have this whole thing, but
It's money. I get it. And
yeah,
your level of commitment is that of husband and wife. So I
yeah.
often ask myself this question: what does marriage mean to you?
Oh, what does marriage mean to me?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it means much anymore. That's why it's
Mhm.
not important to me. In my
Mhm.
20s, it was like a next step, like, this is what you
Yes.
do. I think I also came from a really financially unstable home, and I think that my son's dad felt stable to me. I was a teacher, I wasn't making a lot of money. It felt like, okay, like, we're together in this, and, like, I've got someone to help me if I fall or whatever. And now it feels like I can stand on my own 2 feet and we can stand beside each other. I don't need to, like, cling on to you. It's for, like, survival, and I feel like that's really was like I was just trying to survive in the world, and I was so young.
I did come from financial stability, but I think I was chasing that in a way that I was like, I
Mhm.
need to maintain this life that I've already
Yeah.
lived. And I was very young too. I was 23 when I got married. How old
Um,
is your boyfriend?
he's turning 40 this month. He's like a very mature, I don't know, 40 in Miami is like 22.
No, literally.
Yeah.
No, these men ain't grown
So
till
he's
like
not a
50
Miami
plus.
40.
And if they're still in Miami 50 plus, you got a real problem.
Run, run, girl, run.
Does he want another child?
I think if we both were like in the place where we could, I think we definitely will if we can, or we would want to. People always ask me if I have baby fever because I have a baby and children's boutique, and I'm like, I see your kids every day. I hold a lot of babies though, and it's fun. And we have
Oh,
a play
yeah,
space now, so I see
I
babies and
saw.
toddlers all the time, like
But it's nice to
constantly.
give them back.
Yeah. I'm like, I'll hold them. You go to the bathroom, girl. And then,
Yeah, and
yeah.
and then you come back. But that's
Yeah,
another thing you're
exactly.
doing are, like, these classes.
Yeah,
That's
so
something different.
we really
Not to, like, totally
expanded.
pivot, but
No, but we really expanded the concept. And by I say we, I mean me, the
no, I
the
know. I always
CEO,
say
the
"we" as, like,
marketing
in
professional,
right.
the
All my
buyer,
different personalities.
yeah, the CFO, the COO, yeah, the gift
You should put that on
wrapper,
your
the
email header,
delivery
like, your
person.
email
Yeah. I
signature.
whenever I deliver packages to people's houses, I'm like, ring the bell and run away. I'm like, they can't know that I do every single one of the jobs.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
So I'll say why I created the space that I did, because I think it's actually connected to my history. The first time I moved internationally with our son was when he was 3 months old. We moved to London. We were living in like a shoebox, tiny space in London. I didn't know anyone. And I had to just kind of like make my life anew. And I had also done that when I was 7 months pregnant. We had moved from New Orleans to Houston. So I didn't have a baby at that point, so I didn't really understand like the differences between finding people and finding spaces for yourself when you have a baby versus when you're just an independent human living in the world. And I realized how difficult it was to make friends. Even used a mom dating app. I'm like their
Oh,
biggest marketer.
cute.
I don't actually know if it exists anymore, but I've actually met several of my friends who are still, shout out Meg in Portsmouth, New Hampshire.
I love this. Hey, Meg.
Yeah. Super, super close friends now that we had like almost like a hinge date, but like, you like show that you're a
Did you meet in
mom and like what are
person
your
or like
interests? Yeah. We would like text on the app and then we'd meet in person. Some of them were not, we didn't hit it off.
we
Some of
didn't
them
vibe?
became like best friends. Yeah. And so during that time, I was always searching for a place to go. Like, where can I just go and be? I don't necessarily want to do a class. I don't want to like, you know what I mean? I want this like vibe of home outside of my home because everyone knows when you have a baby and you're in your house for sometimes like 48 hours without
Yeah.
going anywhere, it can be the most lonely experience of your life, even though there's another human around.
That you're
And
serving, you're giving your
yeah,
entire being to. So, of
yeah.
course, you're drained.
I was looking for a space like that everywhere we moved. We moved to London, then we moved back to Houston, then we moved to a small town outside of London in the Cotswolds, and then we moved to Boston, and then we moved to Colorado, and then we moved to Miami, and then we moved back to Chicago, and then finally back to Miami again. In all those places, I had to learn how to meet people. I know, it's like
What
maddening.
I'm thinking about right now are like the logistics. You were pregnant and moving and like changing doctors and not
Yeah.
knowing where you were going to give birth and like,
Yeah, and I had my son a month early because I had preeclampsia, so I was like
mhm.
really going through it at the time. Yeah, I didn't know where I was going to get birth. Yeah, he was in the NICU. Yeah, so the reason why I created Mini in this form now is I just wanted to create a space where moms could come. You don't have to buy anything. You don't have to go to a class. You can literally just be in the space. We even had like a marketplace with tables and chairs where you can just sit with your kid and talk with a friend. The marketplace is free where you can sit and just hang out. Upstairs, we have a play space where you pay by blocks of hours. And then we also do
Okay.
now have classes, but the classes are all run by children's therapists. So we have a speech pathologist, we have an occupational therapist, and we have a music therapist. And that harkens back to me being a special ed teacher and working with children with disabilities. So it's all kind of like tied to my experiences and being a mom and a teacher and a wife and all the things.
I
So
love that so much because I started my children's boutique because I realized that this doesn't exist
yeah,
around us, you know, and everything that you're describing is something that wasn't there and was needed. And that's,
yeah.
you know, that's how you end up being successful. So, how has like the response to Mini been since you've been growing and in your new space? I see a lot of people like influencer Miami, like, you know, these mom type things, posting all these great things. So I was nervous, I'm not going to lie, when you were going to move into the house. I
Yeah,
was like, what
I mean, it's
the fuck?
2,200 square feet. It's wild.
And you were renovating this whole thing
Yeah,
yourself. And I was like, oh no, God, I just hope it goes well. And because knew where you were. You were in Sunset
yeah.
Harbor, which is like a hub.
You know, the response has been good. I think that it was difficult to move 5 blocks down the street. I think people get really into a routine here, especially in Sunset Harbor. You know, it's like go to your Pilates or your workout and then go to Pura Vida. It's very much then come to Minnie, get the birthday present.
Yep.
However, I will say I think the space in terms of like the purpose behind it could have never happened in Sunset Harbor. I think I would have been paying 30 grand a month. So I wanted something that was going to be long standing, that could be like a fixture in the community, not something that I was going to, you know, open and then move again the next year. And so my boyfriend always says that he admires me the most because of like my just do it mentality. That's not what he calls it, but that's what came to mind. But like, I just go for it. I'm like, you know,
If you're gonna, you can't do
why
it
not?
any other way. You
Yeah,
know, you have
yeah,
to, especially in our positions. It's like if you're
yeah,
not doing everything at 100% and really going for it, it's like,
yeah.
well, who the fuck else is?
This is not to knock other female entrepreneurs that I've worked for. I always just felt like I was working to build their dream, whether it was making money or reaching the vision that they had set for themselves. And it didn't feel fulfilling to me. Like, even if they were great people, it didn't feel fulfilling because I felt like it wasn't my dream. It wasn't what I wanted to be doing.
You
And
had
now,
your own dream. Like,
yeah.
not everybody does.
It's true. Some people aren't meant to be entrepreneurs. Let me tell you, some people are not meant to be entrepreneurs. Sometimes I question if I was meant to be an entrepreneur.
I think every entrepreneur questions, like,
Yeah.
what the fuck am I doing at some point?
I am. So now
Yeah.
I can't turn back. I realize like I don't want to like bolster someone else's dream. It's not meaningful to me. And if I'm going to be away from my kid, if I'm going to be working full time, like I want to do something that feels meaningful to me. And this was a project that felt meaningful. I think my son is super proud of me. I think he sees how hard I work, and
That's everything.
he wrote a thing for
I saw
school.
that. Do
So
you want to read
cute.
it? It was so sweet. Read it, please.
The prompt was like, who do you admire the most? And then also, which are the values from your school that you find the easiest to live out and you find the most difficult to live out? So he wrote, my mom, I admire her because of how she treats people. I say that because I have seen how she treats customers at her shop. Also, I have 8 years of proof. Check my birth certificate. I was just going to say I named my son. I really hope this reaches this person. Like I hope your podcast blows up and this reaches this person. My son is named after someone who was in my 4th grade class, like someone I went to school with in 4th grade. And his name is Thomas Gilchrist. Shout out Thomas Gilchrist if you ever hear this.
Thomas, I am finding you and sending this link to you.
I can't find him. So if you find him, like
I'm gonna find him. I have friends who can.
His mom was a lunch lady, and he was friends with everyone. He was the nicest kid. He didn't care about being cool. He was just wanted to be friends with everyone. He always was reading. He was just an all-around nice kid. I really wanted my son to grow up loving to read, empathizing with the people around him, having respect and like for other people's perspectives and being a listener and being open to them. And I think as a kid, what that looks like is being able to relate to lots of different kids. And I feel like my son has really embodied that. So I'm very proud of him. And I'm also like grateful for Thomas Gilchrist for being like a great role model in 4th grade to me. Cause I was not that kid. I was like wanted to be cool and pretty. And like I wanted all the, the attention from the boys. I was definitely not that way. I love to read, and I feel like, yeah, he inspired me to have a child like that. So he's a good kid.
My God, there are people in your past that just like stick with you like that. And I think
Yeah.
it's so beautiful that you named your child after somebody.
I mean, I also
who,
like the name Tori. So I also like the name Thomas.
The funny thing that, I know that we sent our kids to the same school, and every
Yeah.
year, I think it's like back to school night or something,
Yeah.
asking why you named your child what you named him or her. And
Yeah.
let me tell you, I had Shay, I was 3 months postpartum when I got pregnant, and I had just had a boy. So Jackson got my first best boy name and
yeah,
the
for
middle
sure.
name. His middle name's Liam, and I loved that. So I was like, now what? And I just couldn't come up with anything. I was so sick during the pregnancy. By the time he was born, we didn't have a solid name.
Oh my
But
goodness.
during the pregnancy, I was watching a Michigan, like the University of Michigan college football game. And
Go Blue. I'm from Ann Arbor. JK, I don't like football.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
this turned out to be not a great quarterback in the history of the university. His name was Shea Patterson, and I had never heard of a man named Shea that was like a manly man. Like kind of a cool name. And my son's middle name is Maverick, and I had never seen Top Gun. And there was like the Top Gun 2 coming out in theaters, and I saw the word Maverick on the screen. And I was like, cool name.
Yeah.
So when it came down to naming Shay, I was like, oh, like Shay Maverick. And now every year at school, I had to explain that his name has zero
meaning. Football player and movie. But you did name your boutique Mini Mavericks.
I did.
And mine is also named after a family member. Yeah. So we have that in common.
I forgot about that for a second. That
you named your business after that. You're a great mom, Tori.
Oh, you're so sweet. You're a great mom, Nicole.
We have
great example.
We have to say that to each other more.
We do, and I think that, like, that's something that I need to do more of is, like, reach out to people in my life who are doing a great job and just tell them
Oh,
because,
yeah.
it's just that you can make somebody's day by just saying, like, "Hey, I was just thinking about you and how
Yeah.
amazing you're doing as a mom." Like, you know, just sharing that you're thinking about them and acknowledging all of the good that they're doing is something that you can do that doesn't take much time,
Costs you nothing.
costs you nothing,
Yeah.
So I think especially during this like season of giving and people getting caught up in gifts and, all of those things, it's also important to just take a
But
sec as a friend.
can I interrupt you for a second? If you are going
Always.
to buy gifts, listeners, you can buy them for your children at Mini in
Plug.
Miami Beach,
Plug.
or you can go to our website, wearemini.com, and you can order. We ship and we deliver locally and we gift wrap. So, yeah, if
And
you
you're
are going to
supporting
be
a single
giving,
mom
yeah, you're supporting a single mom, you're supporting my son. Yeah, you're helping someone live their dream.
and mine. So contribute to both of our
Two
dreams.
people. It's both of our dreams. Yeah. And I'll never forget that you gave me all that stuff in the beginning, like the bags
Oh,
and the paper and the boxes. Like it means so much when somebody else supports you. We didn't even know each other. We'd known each other maybe two
no.
days when you gave me all of that stuff, just out of the goodness of your heart. So I will never forget that because it was starting a business is not easy. And when you feel like you have people behind you, it makes it a lot better.
Oh, I mean, I
So thank you.
remember that the ability to give that to you
Yeah.
was so fulfilling to me. I honestly got probably as much out of that as you did
Aw.
in just like being able to help another single mom who had the
Yeah.
same vision as me. This was just serendipitous, like I say,
Yeah.
just
I
like
feel
so
like,
meant to be.
there can be so much division and competition with women. I think I've experienced that even after I opened my store of like, am I stepping on people's toes? Is
Yep.
there
And I think we were thinking of stepping on the same people's toes.
the way that you were just like, nah, take it. Like, you know what I mean? And I think that speaks to who you are as a person because you could have been like, fuck this girl. Like, she's trying to do what I did, whatever. I think you were a huge supporter, even just shopping at the shop and telling people about the shop, and even since you've moved. So thank you for that. And yeah, follow us on Instagram at mini.miami, MINNIE, like Minnie Mouse. I just wanted to do my shameless plug. I'll tell you one thing that somebody told me. While I was deciding if I was going to get divorced, I mean, separated, divorce, you go through like the stages of it. I came down to Miami to see my friends and also to look for a place to live. And I was talking to someone at the Standard Bar and I was telling a woman, she was like, "Oh, what are you doing in Miami?" And I was like, I might be getting divorced. And she said, "No one who has ever gotten divorced has regretted it." And it stuck with me because I never once regretted it. I made the
Same girl,
decision and I
same.
never looked back. I was like, that's it. And
Great advice.
if you've thought about divorce, you probably want to get divorced.
A lot of people reach out and say, like, this is what's going on. Like, either what would you do or, what do you think I should do type of thing. And
Yeah.
I'm like, pause, you know,
Yeah.
don't
It's
ask
really
me. I haven't
everyone.
gotten it right yet. Okay.
No, and everyone's on their own journey. Like people are like, why don't you want to get married? And I'm like, everyone is doing their life differently. You didn't live what I lived. You have,
Yeah.
and a lot of the things that I've been through have not been shared on this podcast. So you're not going to constantly be telling people about the things that you've been through. And you have to believe that you don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to. You can just say no. And has been a big life lesson for me too.
Cole, thank you so much for your time, for being here, for sharing your story. I know so many people are going to appreciate it. And we have a lot of mutual
Thank you.
friends. And I think that they're going to be curious too, into just like hearing what we both have to say. So I wish you all the best in your mini endeavors, in your engagement partnership with your stunning family heirloom ring. Like, gorge, 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 gorge. And just so
and my
happy you're
stunning
happy.
partner. Thank you.
Stunning
Thank you.
partner, right?
Yeah.
That
Thank you.
brings you coffee and wakes you up gently and waits for your bag at the door. And oh, it's just such a good example for Tom. Guys, I mean, like, there is hope. This is the point, that there's hope after divorce. You'll meet somebody who does it right, hopefully.
It's it's you'll know what you're looking for.
I think that's great advice. And you'll
Yeah.
know what you're not looking
Not
for.
looking for. Absolutely. That's a great ending. Thank you for
Well,
having me,
Nicole,
Tori. It was a pleasure.
oh my God, the pleasure was all mine. I love you so much.
Love you
And
too.
we will definitely do a part 2 to this because there's still so much unsaid.